A wealthy woman offered me 10 million to divorce. I packed my bags immediately. Afterward, I contacted the wealthy woman. She warned me, "I've paid, you must keep your word." I quickly replied, "No, it's not that. I've gotten married again. Would you like to buy my new husband? He's younger and more handsome, so 10 million might not be enough." The wealthy woman frowned. "Bring him here, let me see." My new husband looked at the wealthy woman and blurted out, "Mom." I pinched him. "What mom? You should call her auntie." He turned to me, "But she is asterisk my mom." I was stunned. "And you were selling drinks at a nightclub." At first, I couldn't believe someone would pay 10 million to buy my husband, just for me to divorce him. The truth was, I'd wanted out of that marriage for a long time. The reasons were hard to explain, but the reality was, he couldn't last a minute in bed. Goodness, I wasn't even past my prime, and he couldn't satisfy me. What would happen later? But what kind of woman divorces her husband because of an unsatisfying sex life? That's so untraditional, and I'm a traditional woman, so I had to pretend to have no interest in such matters. Therefore, I endured. The more I endured, the more I recalled my first love's prowess. Back in college, every day, apart from eating and gaming, we just wanted to be in a hotel. He was a university student with 8-pack abs, capable of going 7 times a night, each time different, each time full of surprises. I held my political theory textbook, walking past the stadium, watching a group of male students playing basketball. Sweat poured, vitality overflowed. Colorful shorts and long legs, I secretly sighed. Not only was I traditional, but I also taught political theory. My world was bland and uneventful. The wealthy woman messaged me again, saying she'd increased the price to 10 million for me to divorce. I wondered if it was a scam. In the previous political theory class, students were glued to their phones, all of them full of youthful energy, except for one student who stared intently at me. He was very handsome, named Jing Lin. Fair skin, chiseled face, 1.9 m tall, toned muscles, he looked very capable. He'd pursued me for nearly 2 years, now almost a graduating senior. I'd always maintained a boundary, but my heart fluttered like willow branches in the spring breeze. I made up my mind. For my future happiness, I had to divorce, but I couldn't be the one to suggest it, my husband had to. So every day after that, I'd demand his salary, sighing and groaning, increasing his stress. I even bought him supplements. After taking them, he did improve a little, but then he'd be listless again, his spirits low. I'd start nagging him to take his medicine. My husband worked in investment banking, often staying up late, working overtime, and traveling for business. His salary was very high. He used to be my father's student. After graduation, he visited my father's home and we met and married. We'd been married for 3 years. 3 years ago, he wasn't so useless. Back then, I was blinded by his tall, handsome, a high-flying job, an MBA from Peking University, frequent overseas trips. In short, he seemed very cool. I was young then and didn't realize that because he was older, he'd decline faster than me, especially with his stressful job. And as a traditional, obedient girl, I was supposed to act like sex didn't matter. But now, a wealthy woman offered me 10 million to divorce. Luckily, we had no children. A month later, my husband, Mark, proposed divorce. He even posted anonymously online with the title, "Older husband, younger wife, marital life unharmonious, is divorce the only option?" We parted amicably. My father didn't understand. He asked me why. I said I didn't know. Mark, of course, didn't reveal the truth. My father misunderstood, thinking Mark had another woman. He sighed. "Back then, I thought his career was good. I never imagined it would be the reason you two broke up." My father worried I'd be lonely my whole life because I barely socialized. The house was left to Mark. My salary couldn't cover the mortgage. He compensated me 2 million. His eyes looked at me, full of insecurity and guilt. On the day I left, I sadly looked at him and softly said, "Actually, that doesn't matter much. If you take your medicine, you'll still be fine." He shuddered. "Open the door for me," he gestured. "I need to leave quickly." Mark was still a good man, at least he seemed good. Who knew that after 30, a man's abilities could decline so rapidly? I moved back to my father's house. My parents had divorced. For years, my father had spent his days gardening, fishing, writing, playing chess with old friends, living a very leisurely life. I spent my days at home, wondering how to spend the total of 12 million I had. It was so hard to spend it all. I didn't dare buy luxury items, only a few bags, some jewelry, some clothes. But I'm a hypocritical person. When I go out, I want to maintain my elegant and simple image, so luxury items would probably just collect dust. My only close friend knew about my divorce, and she insisted on dragging me to a bar to cheer me up. I half-reluctantly went. Then I saw the student who had always pursued me, selling drinks there. I was stunned. He was too striking. Many people stared at him with naked desire. Under the kaleidoscopic lights, his face was the most authoritative presence. We sat at a table. He approached, his youthful voice pleasant to hear. "Drinks?" My friend directly pulled him to sit next to me. "Hey, we need someone to drink with. How much can you drink? I'll buy you plenty." The student ignored my friend and asked me, "Teacher, why are you here?" I nervously smoothed my hair. "It's true, I wouldn't have come before. I used to be a good girl, but now I have money I can't spend." I said, "I'm here to spend money." He was speechless. I asked him, "Why are you selling drinks here?" I frowned disapprovingly. "This place is complicated, you shouldn't come here." I thought for a moment and asked, "Are you short on money?" He looked at me, I looked at him. He slowly said, "My mother is seriously ill, my father is addicted to gambling, and my younger brother is intellectually disabled." I was astonished, my eyes wide. "And you still had the presence of mind to pursue me at school? Those bouquets, bracelets, and necklaces weren't cheap." I was shocked. "The money you bought those with, could it be?" He nodded. "Yes, I stole it. Sometimes I stole food, sometimes money." My friend and I were dumbfounded. For the next while, he described in detail his tragic family and his strong, unyielding character. My friend said he should find a rich girlfriend. That way, life would be easier. He said he had always liked me and would never sell himself for money. He then said how many people wanted to be his sugar mommy daddy, and he'd refused them all. It felt like he was trying to show how sought after he was. My friend was busy being surrounded, while he kept drinking with me, telling me how miserable he was. My compassion was about to overflow. I didn't know my alcohol tolerance. In short, when I realized I was drunk, he had already taken me to a large hotel bed. The next day, I was filled with regret. This feeling of regret was like saying you had to improve, not fall again, but then you still fell. The student propped himself up, looking at me, playing with a lock of my long hair, his face full of satisfaction. My scalp tingled. I quickly sat up and put on my clothes. Oh my goodness, I was a teacher, and he was still a student. I looked at the clock, then took out my phone, intending to transfer money to him. But then I thought, if there's a transfer history, wouldn't that be solid evidence? I'd seen enough scandalous exposed PowerPoints from bitter lovers. So I pressed my lips and said, "Quickly get dressed and follow me." He didn't understand. "Going for food?" I rolled my eyes at him, annoyed. "Why did you follow me last night? Aren't you working?" He said shyly, "Teacher said she wanted to be my sugar mommy, so I told my boss I quit." "What, you quit?" He nodded. "I want to be with teacher properly. I'll serve you better than your husband." I almost fainted. I looked at him. It seemed he wanted to cling to me. Although he was very delicious, I had professional ethics. Moreover, if I were with him and others found out, I'd be laughed to death, so I kept my divorce a secret. I went straight to the ATM, intending to withdraw $50,000 for him. I didn't expect him to act so fast, having already quit his job, so I had to withdraw another $50,000. He carried the plastic bag with $100,000 cash, smiling radiantly. "Thank you, teacher, you're so good to me." I nodded and said, "Study hard, find a good job later. I'm leaving now." Saying that, I went to the roadside and hailed a cab. He followed closely, saying, "Teacher, what if I can't find a good job?" I froze. It was true that jobs were hard to find. The problem was, how would I know what to do? Having no choice, I gritted my teeth and went to withdraw another $50,000 for him. This time, he clung to me even tighter, like a dog given a bone. He skillfully took the money and said to me, "Thank you, teacher. From now on, I'm yours in life, yours in death." He tried to get into the cab. The driver was there, so I didn't dare say much. At the entrance of the apartment complex, I told the driver to drive to a nearby dump. I figured I wouldn't run into anyone I knew at the dump. Facing each other at the dump, I said, "Last night was an accident. Take this money and use it. Forget about last night." He said, "I can't forget. Teacher isn't just my dream lover, but she's also willing to give me so much money. I'm yours for life." Oh no, I was stuck with him. I said, "I have a husband." He said, "I'll hide myself well. I'm a decent person, I don't cheat." "Teacher, decent people can cheat too. You can cheat decently." Me, "Stop, don't say any more. You're a student, I'm a teacher. If others find out, I'll be disciplined." He, "Teacher, if you don't say anything and I don't say anything, who would know? If people find out, just say I shamelessly seduced you and you were forced." I refused. "No, really, it's not possible, really." How about I give you another 50,000 and you just pretend nothing happened? No, that was my first time. A man's first time is very precious. He pouted. Teacher, please, I'll hide myself well. No one will know about us. Just let me be with you. I don't need anything, just being able to see you anytime is enough. He assured me repeatedly that he needed nothing. His feelings for me were pure, selfless, and asked for no return. Honestly, I was touched, deeply touched. I felt that apart from my father, no man in this world loved me so selflessly. In college, because of my grades and my father being a teacher, I attended the high school affiliated with where I now work. All the teachers knew my father, Professor Chen, so I didn't dare to date. A few good boys pursued me, and I wanted to try, but the idea of not dating early, instilled since childhood, always squashed it. Later, nearing college graduation, I met my ex-husband, Mark, and briefly experienced his pursuit and care. After marriage, he left me at home, busy with his work, no longer as attentive as before. Mark's feelings for me. He hoped for a virtuous wife and good mother, and he also hoped I'd be obedient like a puppet. When he was still able, he naturally demanded marital duties. I wasn't good at firmly refusing others. Jing Lin looked so pathetic. What fault was it of his? I secretly sighed. He just loved me, that's all. He didn't demand anything from me, so I said, all right then. I can't give you anything. When you meet someone new you like, we'll go our separate ways. He happily said, yes. We went our separate ways and added each other on WeChat. He was very clingy, messaging me, sharing what he ate, what he did, and asking what I was doing. I didn't reply to any messages, same old reason. I've seen too many exposed PowerPoints. These are all evidence I have to be careful. I didn't reply to messages, and he video called me, which I also didn't answer. I didn't want my father to know I was seeing a student. In my father's eyes, I was always a good child. On Monday, when I went to teach, he sat there with a resentful look, staring at me. My scalp tingled. Anyone looking at him like that would know our relationship was not normal. Fortunately, students nowadays aren't interested in political theory. Some were catching up on sleep. Others were on their phones. No one noticed him. Scalp tingling. After 2 classes, I went to the parking lot. Today, I only had 2 classes. For this, I still had to thank my father. He let me get my doctorate and then got me this teaching job. Look at this job, how good it is. Students like robots, I like a great person. Just as I swiped my card, the passenger door was pulled open. It was Jing Lin. I quickly looked around, luckily no one was there. I was about to confront him, but he already looked wronged. I quickly got into the car and drove out of the school. Out of school, I felt a little safer. I was about to ask him why he was so out of line, but a glance showed he was crying, wiping his tears with a tissue. I was stunned. Why are you crying? He said. You regret it, don't you? You want to abandon me, don't you? Did I even need to ask? The moment I woke up, I regretted it, but I was afraid if I told him the truth, he'd jump out of the car. So I said, you're overthinking things, don't be so sentimental. He said, do you know how I've lived these past 2 days? It's like you died. No replies to messages, no answers to calls. I've been tormented like an ant on a hot pan, thinking you had a car accident or something. I felt like I'd stepped on chewing gum, not only clingy, but also prone to crying. Was he a primary school student? I said. My phone was broken these past 2 days. I didn't see any messages. He said, then why did your roommate ask you a question and you answered? The student asking the question was his roommate. He'd been set up. I was speechless. Have you eaten? I'll take you to eat. Don't change the subject. If you don't explain clearly, I'll die right here today. All right, another potential exposed PowerPoint candidate. I had to apologize. Sorry, I'll let you off this time. I breathed a sigh of relief. How scary. Luckily, he wasn't too aggressive. He said, I rented an apartment. I know you live with Professor Chen, so it's not convenient for me to visit you. Let's go to my rented place. Saying that, his hand rested on my thigh. This little devil was too good, making me remember his abilities that night. His outstanding endowments, far surpassing my ex-husband, Mark, but thinking of him as a potential exposed PowerPoint candidate, I felt deflated. I said, today isn't very convenient. He looked at me with bright eyes. I guiltily glanced away. He took out his phone. I peeked over. He started posting on his moments. Loving someone you shouldn't love, it's so painful. Below, someone immediately commented, who is it? Are they living on moments? Jing Lin replied, you know them too from our school. He looked at me. I looked at his phone. I said, don't post anymore. Where's the address? He understood and put away his phone, reading out an address. I looked at this high-end residential area, this lush greenery, this luxurious interior, and sank into thought. Are all young people so extravagant now? I asked. How much is it here per month? 18,000. That was higher than my salary. I said, Don't you have a gambling-addicted father, a seriously ill mother, and an intellectually disabled younger brother? Save some money, spend it on them." He looked at me with a natural expression. "Teacher, you are the most important person to me. I must prioritize spending on you," he said lovingly. "If I had 100 yuan, I'd give you 99. The remaining 1 yuan you must save and spend." He said, "I don't want to have to save when I'm with teacher." All right, no more communicating with him. This house was really big, really luxurious. I truly didn't understand why the landlord would rent it out. But when he started touching me, saying he missed me so much, I found this house quite nice. After all, going to a hotel, there's a chance of running into acquaintances, and hotels might not be clean. After we were done, I went to shower. When I came out, he was cooking in the kitchen. I was a little touched, like someone giving me a bowl of plain porridge. I said, "You can cook too." He turned and smiled at me. "Teacher, I'm very capable." I felt so good. Not only was my body refreshed, but my heart was too. The 200,000 I spent was truly worth it. We slept for another while. When I woke up, it was 5 p.m. I yawned. "I have to go home." He held me back. "Teacher, don't go home. Stay here with me." "No, too clingy. I can't let him have the illusion that we're in love." I reminded him. "I have a husband. I have to go back to him." "Is your husband that important? Does he make you happy like I do? Can he serve you like this? Is he as young and handsome as me? Is he as obedient as me?" I ignored him and continued getting dressed. "Be good. I'll visit you when I have time. I'm willing to be your kept man." I suspected he was hinting for money. I pressed my lips and asked, "Do you have money to spend?" He nodded, happily saying, "I found a job. Supporting myself isn't a problem. After I graduate, I'll support you, teacher." I started to leave. He saw me to the door. "Teacher, please reply to my messages, or I won't be able to resist posting on Moments." I went home, only to be met with a barrage of terror messages. After hesitating for a few seconds, I still replied. I hoped that when everything came out, I'd only be disciplined, not fired. Fortunately, the wealthy woman gave me 10 million. If I were fired, I could still live off that money for the rest of my life. My father was still waiting for me to inherit his legacy. Jing Lin and I were quite inseparable. Messages were constant, and occasionally we'd go to his luxurious rented apartment for our intimate moments. Honestly, I'd never enjoyed myself so much, not even with my first love in college. Jing Lin could do anything. Although I was shy and told him not to, he persisted, and I grew increasingly attached to him. Especially since I felt I didn't love him much, I was just greedy for his body. Yet he loved me wholeheartedly, so I felt a bit guilty. My father was arranging a blind date for me. He felt I was too lonely by myself. He said, "You're still young, you don't need to live like an old woman. Even if a marriage doesn't last, have a child, at least you'll have someone for companionship." I couldn't refuse my father. I went on the blind date. The man looked decent. He was also my father's student and was divorced. He described the reason for his divorce. My wife was frigid. We truly weren't compatible. My level of astonishment could fit an entire egg in my mouth. He asked directly, "You're not frigid, are you? I don't want to live a celibate life anymore." Was I too outdated? My blind date and I got married after 3 months. He looked at his watch. "I'm very busy. You're also divorced. We don't need to play those silly games. We know each other well. You can completely trust me." Finally, I said, "I lied. I'm also frigid." The blind date ended. I looked at Jing Lin's chat messages, another dense string of them, along with a few photos of him cooking, a cut finger, a table full of food. I drove to his rented apartment. It was already 9 p.m. When I opened the door, he was sitting in front of a table full of food, waiting for me. I said, "I didn't see your messages." He seemed to wake from a dream, hastily smiling. "It's okay, I'll go reheat the food." Then he busied himself, moving in and out of the kitchen. That night, I didn't go home. He was very happy, saying it felt like we were living together. I never thought a little sweetness would make him so happy. He truly loved me. Luckily, I was divorced. Otherwise, what would I do staying out all night? From that day on, I occasionally stayed overnight. Every time I stayed, he was very happy. When he was happy, he'd put in effort. I was also very happy. When I wanted to leave, he'd be unhappy, as if I was about to abandon him. My father noticed something was off. Once again, I didn't sleep at home. The next day, I returned to pack some clothes to take to Jing Lin's place. My father sat in the living room, frowning at me. "Do you have a boyfriend?" I hesitated, unsure how to describe it. I thought I should be considered a sugar mommy. My father advised, "You don't have enough social experience. You've always been too sheltered. You're not good at judging people. If you like him, bring him here for me to see." Don't rush into things. My father was wrong. Now I was the one deceiving others. He frowned at me. You didn't give him any money, did you? Only 200,000. I shook my head. He said, bring him here, let me see him. I hesitated for a moment. I was afraid he'd scold me. So I said, he and I aren't compatible. I broke up with him. My father took a deep breath and went into his study. I gave up on packing clothes. Jing Lin was still asking what time I'd arrive, saying he missed me very much. I didn't reply to his messages. Right, what was I doing? I was a political theory teacher, practically a moral philosophy teacher. And I was seeing a young boy. I reflected on myself. I decided I should still break up with him, otherwise I'd fall deeper and deeper. While I hadn't given him too much hope yet, I decided to talk things through clearly with him. At his rented apartment, I said, Jing Lin. He said, I like this unhealthy relationship. I said, you'll meet someone better in the future. He looked at me coldly. What do you mean? Saying that, he reached for his phone. I held his hand and said, so, for now, I'll cherish you properly. He was satisfied. This student was not easy to deal with. Just like that, I both wanted to break up with him and continued to see him. It must be said that young people indeed have boundless energy. Besides making love in his rented apartment, we also traveled to many places together. He was a senior, and my few classes were concentrated on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, meaning Thursdays, Fridays, and weekends we were very free. Jing Lin was very considerate and good at planning schedules. He was only 4 years younger than me, so the age difference didn't seem too big. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the courage to go out with him. But he always spent my money, and I kept transferring money to him. He said, Sheng, I'm so happy being with the person I like, and you even give me money to spend. Wasn't this a sugar daddy-mommy relationship? Being with him was still very enjoyable. On our 2-month anniversary, I bought him an expensive watch. This was the consequence of dating a younger man. Luckily, the wealthy woman gave me 10 million, otherwise, I really couldn't afford to support him. He was too cheap to support. My conscience wouldn't rest. Jing Lin was also quite money-eyed. Seeing the watch, he was very happy. He took out a bottle of red wine to drink with me. Today he was lazy. Normally, he'd prepare at least 3 dishes and a soup, no matter the time. Today there was only steak and red wine. Tusk, isn't steak just seared and eaten? We drank wine and he kept pulling me, telling me how much he liked me. He said that before, when he pursued me, I ignored him and he was very sad, but now he was especially happy. Hearing these words put a lot of pressure on me. Although it's nice to have someone like you, when you can't reciprocate, it becomes a burden. Especially since if I didn't reciprocate, he'd be unhappy and threaten to post on Moments or make PowerPoints at the drop of a hat. So I could only say, I'm also quite happy. I drank a bit too much. He said he wanted to take me out. I was a bit dizzy. He put his arm around my waist and I followed him. After that, I have no recollection. The next day I woke up and he was lying next to me, not looking at me but smiling at a red booklet in his hand. At first, I didn't pay attention, but looking closely. You're married? I'm leaving. You're married and still with me? My morals are very high. I don't get involved with married men. He was innocently startled and said, Sheng, this is our marriage certificate. My eyes nearly fell onto the bedsheet. I held the marriage certificate, muttering, How? How did this happen? He sat beside me and patiently explained, Yesterday, you asked me if I had any wishes and you'd help me fulfill them. I said I wanted to marry you, and you said no problem. Then we took our household registration books to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I asked from the bottom of my heart, did I look sober enough yesterday, in my drunken state, to complete something as big as getting married? Doesn't marriage require consent? Doesn't it require the parties to be sober? He laughed shyly. You looked more sober than anyone. Wife, you were completely oblivious when you were drunk. I had originally intended to break up with him. In the afternoon, I returned home. My own home always made me feel safe. It didn't have so many schemes. I suspected Jing Lin wanted to cling to me forever. I appeared quite wealthy and generous. He wanted to secure me. My father was right. The outside world was too dangerous. I really shouldn't have been disobedient. I opened the door to find my ex-husband, Mark, sitting in the living room. My father was drinking tea with him. Mark came to ask for reconciliation. He excitedly said, Sheng, I've recovered my normal life now. I changed jobs, I'm capable again. He approached me. If you don't believe me, you can try, guaranteed over 10 minutes. I looked at him, wanting to speak, but couldn't. I said, as far as I'm concerned, I have no regrets in life. I was deceived emotionally by a young man outside, but wasn't Mark with that wealthy woman? She didn't look bad. As it turned out, my affair with Jing Lin was caught by Mark. I fearfully drove back to his rented apartment. Because I was avoiding it, he said he wanted to visit his father-in-law, only trying to scare me, so I had to go. Just as I entered the house, Mark knocked on the door. Jing Lin looked through the peephole and said, "Your ex-husband." Before I could even ask how he knew I was divorced, he opened the door. Jing Lin very politely called out, "Brother-in-law." "Mark, do I know you?" "Why are you calling me brother?" Jing Lin enthusiastically ushered him in, saying, "You're Sheng's ex-husband, I'm her current husband. By seniority, I should call you brother-in-law." "Mark, Sheng, tell me the truth, have you been cheating for a long time?" Mark assessed Jing Lin. "Where did you find this sugar baby? Let me tell you I'm fine now, I was just too tired before." "Jing Lin, brother-in-law, don't be agitated. It has nothing to do with Sheng. Blame me. I seduced her and clung to her. Please don't scold Sheng." "Mark, who are you?" "Jing Lin. I am Sheng's husband, my name is Jing Lin." Mark looked him up and down. "I've seen you before, you're Sheng's student." Mark looked at me. "Are you crazy, dating your own student?" Just as I was about to speak, Jing Lin spoke again. "Brother-in-law, it's not Sheng's fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. If you want to hit someone, hit me. Please spare Sheng." "Does your father-in-law know?" Jing Lin. "Father-in-law doesn't know of my existence yet, but I believe he'll accept me." "Mark, can you not interfere?" Jing Lin. "No, brother-in-law, Sheng is very timid, I will protect her." "Mark, what do you like about him? He's just glib." I couldn't help but think inappropriate thoughts, but I managed to suppress them. Because I'm a decent person, in such a serious situation, I couldn't think of anything improper. Jing Lin spoke again. "Yes, brother-in-law, I am very glib." "Mark, you unright boy wanting to latch onto a rich woman, don't you know how to find someone with actual money? The money she has is still my compensation. This house isn't cheap, is it? Sheng's salary can't afford it." I felt a bit tired and sat on the sofa, playing with my hair, lost in thought. Jing Lin replied, "You don't need to afford the house, brother-in-law. This house was paid for in full. It's mine." "Mark, you're really boasting." "He's just a bit extravagant. He really talks big, he has to use good stuff for everything. Branded goods, clearly a penniless guy, maybe the less you have, the more you have to buy those things." Mark sneered. "This house costs tens of millions, you couldn't buy it. Yours, you're quite curious, aren't you? In society, one's status is self-made. If you want it, you can have it." Mark was somewhat convinced, hesitatingly saying, "Are you clinging to another wealthy woman?" "Do you want me to introduce you to someone? Give Sheng back to me." Jing Lin laughed. "Brother-in-law, no, I'm not clinging to a wealthy woman. In life, I'm Sheng's, in death, I'm her ghost. We're married." Saying that, he took out the marriage certificate from his pocket and showed it to Mark. Mark saw it and was furious. "You too will regret this." Mark angrily left. Not long after, my father called me. "Come home now and bring that student with you." I glanced at Jing Lin, covered the microphone, and went to the balcony. "Dad, wait, I'll see if I can divorce him. Last time I said I broke up, now we're married. Don't tell me we'll have a child in a few days." I was so scared I nearly dropped the phone. No way, marrying a senior student was already absurd enough. If I got pregnant, my life would be over. If he abandoned me, who would I find to take responsibility? My father angrily said he wouldn't care about me anymore. I trembled, trying to find a solution. I felt I had made a mistake. I hadn't figured out a way yet. My ex-husband, Mark, came to find me again. He messaged me, telling me to divorce Jing Lin. Otherwise, he'd report me for an illicit relationship because we had only divorced less than 3 months ago. I burst into tears of grief. Another potential exposed PowerPoint candidate. I thought for a long time. I felt that Jing Lin genuinely liked me and genuinely wanted to cling to me. After all, after I received the wealthy woman's money, and with Mark's situation, I had started to get a bit arrogant. I thought Jing Lin was young, had unlimited potential. What if truly wealthy woman took an interest in him? I said, "Hello, madam, do you still remember me? You gave me 5 million to divorce my husband." She paused. "I remember, but I paid you, you must keep your word. Your after-sales service doesn't include remarrying." I quickly said, "Madam, you misunderstood. I just wanted to inform you that I got married again." The wealthy woman on the other end raised her voice. "What? You got married again? It hasn't even been 3 months." I was a bit embarrassed but still asked, "Would you like to meet my new husband?" I quickly added, "This one is younger and more handsome and very capable, so 5 million might not be enough." The wealthy woman took a cold breath. "Bring him here, let me see." She gave me an address. I messaged Mark, "About to divorce, wait a moment." The next day, Jing Lin and I dressed impeccably and went out. Normally, when I went out with him, I was timid, afraid of running into acquaintances. It was the same this time. He looked very wronged. Am I not worthy of being seen? I comforted him, saying I wasn't worthy of being seen with him. The wealthy woman, Madame Gao, had arranged to meet at a 5-star hotel. As soon as we entered, I saw Mark there too, nodding and bowing to Madame Gao. This Madame Gao plays big, huh? Already has a lover and still doesn't refuse anyone. Madame Gao saw us, hesitated for a moment, and I quickly pulled Jing Lin over. Madam, this is my new husband. Mark, what are you two doing here? Madame Gao, are you two married? Jing Lin, Mom. I quickly pinched Jing Lin. What, Mom? You should call her Auntie. Look how young she looks. Mark looked at us with disdain. Jing Lin turned to me. This is my mother, wife. You haven't even met your father-in-law, and you've already met your mother-in-law. You truly love me. I sat on the chair, pondering my life. Madame Gao was Jing Lin's mother. Jing Lin said she was seriously ill, probably mentally ill, because she gave me 5 million to divorce. Jing Lin had a rich mother, yet he went to sell drinks. Your mother is so rich and you still sell drinks? That bar was opened by my mother. She wouldn't let me suffer. Wife. Jing Lin then said to his mother, Mom, look, this is your daughter-in-law. Mark said, President Gao, my wife was just temporarily confused. You must hope they divorce immediately, right? Me too. Mark said to me, Sheng, you're remarried. How can you climb so high with President Gao's son? Quickly break up and come home with me. I'm trapped. President Gao said, all right, Jing Lin, you take Sheng out to play. I still have business to discuss here. Jing Lin, yes, Mom. Oh, right, Mom, we're all family now. Mark almost collapsed. He gritted his teeth. Don't call me brother-in-law. Yes, brother-in-law. Jing Lin drove my car. He was really skilled at being a kept man. He said, the house is out of food, let's go to the supermarket. So we went to the supermarket. He skillfully took my bag, took my card, and swiped it. I asked him, did you know your mother gave me 5 million but I divorced? Jing Lin was especially happy. Yes, that's right. I pursed my lips. So you're with me to spend all my 5 million? Jing Lin looked very wronged. Sheng, what are you saying? If I want to spend your money, it proves you love me. You can't show me love in other ways. I can only rely on this. Me, does your mother really like my ex-husband? Jing Lin's eyes widened. Don't talk nonsense. My father isn't dead yet. Me, then why did she tell me to divorce? Mom knew I couldn't pursue you. I told her you were married and didn't want to be with me. She immediately said she could make you divorce. You're so traditional and naive, I thought you wouldn't listen to my mom. I guess I still don't understand women much. My mom is still cooler. Me, what touching motherly love. Jing Lin seriously said, don't worry, teacher. As long as you don't break up with me, don't divorce me, I won't make any exposed PowerPoints. I'll still hide myself well. Think about it, you lecturing upstairs, your husband listening downstairs. Everyone would think we have a normal teacher-student relationship. How exciting. Jing Lin's mother drove Jing Lin and me back to my father's house. My father stood stunned. I almost thought Jing Lin was his son. Then my father said, why are you seeing a student? You'll be disciplined. I was particularly embarrassed because there really was such a rule. Otherwise, teachers could easily take advantage of their natural position, and buying students could easily lead to problems. Jing Lin said, Professor Chen, it's my fault. I seduced Sheng and clung to her relentlessly. If you want to blame someone, blame me. My father, of course, said, I will blame you. My Sheng is so gentle. How could you bully such a kind person? Jing Lin, I am willing to dedicate myself to her. I am Sheng's for life. Me, my father, his mother. How about this, when Jing Lin graduates, we can go public with your relationship. That way, it might be compliant. My father, once he graduates, no one will regulate it. While he's studying, it's not allowed. His mother said to the extent that even I was scared. The problem was, Jing Lin wouldn't graduate until June next year, and I was already almost 3 months pregnant. At school, Jing Lin walked beside me, protecting me. All his classmates knew he pursued me. His classmates teased Jing Lin. Little Miss Chen is pregnant, are you still pursuing her? Jing Lin said, who knows, maybe little Miss Chen was moved by me. So you're raising another man's child. Don't say raising another man's child. Even if it means raising my mother's child, I'm willing. The head of my department sought me out for a talk, implying I must uphold ethics, maintain noble spirit, and refuse worldly temptations. I had done the exact opposite of all of that. The head said, Little Miss Chen, we watched you grow up. We believe you would never engage in illicit relationships. I thanked the head. After Jing Lin graduated, I finally gave birth to a daughter. He posted a picture of our marriage certificate, and then a picture of us holding our daughter's tiny foot on his moments. Effort will be rewarded. His classmates congratulated him enthusiastically. So cool, As expected, one shot, one baby. Jing Lin, are you a master of manipulation? So fast. As long as your heart is big enough, wife and children will follow. Everyone thought Jing Lin was raising another man's child, touched by our love, feeling he truly loved unconditionally. Back at school, everyone told me to cherish him. All thanks to my father telling everyone at school that Mark cheated, which led to my divorce. My ex-husband, Mark, messaged me, if it weren't for President Gao giving me business, I would really report you too. But you two can say whatever you want, I'm willing to bear the blame. Mark, I sent a gold bracelet for the child. If we remarry later, we don't need to tell anyone the child is mine. Me, you wish, don't you? Me, you really should get checked out. The two of us had no children in 3 years. I had one with him in one go. Mark, I've been checked for a long time. It's true I can't have children. Me, this world is really scary, full of schemes and conspiracies. Decent people like us are really easily targeted. Outside story, Jing Lin's perspective. Jing Lin's goddess was Sheng. Everyone called her Little Miss Chen because her father was Professor Chen. Little Miss Chen was the epitome of a first love. Long, straight black hair, gentle speech, fair skin, bright and innocent eyes. What if Little Miss Chen was married? Jing Lin began his pursuit. He pursued her for 2 years. Little Miss Chen would avoid him, running faster than a rabbit after class. Finally, Little Miss Chen was almost in tears. I'm married, student. I think you need to reevaluate your values. Jing Lin, I'll hide myself well. Little Miss Chen hid herself first. She was nowhere to be found after class. Jing Lin always left gifts on her car. Little Miss Chen gave the gifts to his homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher took the flowers home and returned the necklace to Jing Lin. The homeroom teacher sighed, you like older women? I'll introduce you to someone. My sister just divorced. She has 2 children. You won't need to ask for any. You'll naturally have 2 children. Jing Lin looked at the homeroom teacher's chubby face and boisterous voice and ran away. He hadn't loved anyone yet. His mother thought he was gay and pitied him greatly. His mother said, my son, you've suffered so much. Are you top or bottom? You're a bottom. A month later, his mother messaged him, she's divorced now and she's vulnerable. Go for it quickly. His mother meant for him to pursue her, but he thought it meant to quickly get into bed with her and solidify their relationship. He asked a friend of a friend to tell Little Miss Chen's best friend that his bar was fun. He waited patiently, and Little Miss Chen indeed came. Little Miss Chen was like a fairy. Even drunk, she was beautiful. She even actively kissed him and asked him how much for one night, saying she had 7 million, asking if it was enough. Little Miss Chen also liked him and was willing to spend money on him. He felt so happy, soaring. Little Miss Chen didn't want to admit debt. Little Miss Chen was very timid. Little Miss Chen was so naive. Little Miss Chen was too easy to control. Little Miss Chen was too good to him, giving him 200,000 at once. He also loved her. She just didn't want to admit it. He was too happy. Their love was mutual. Jing Lin poked many holes in the condoms. He wanted to be with Little Miss Chen forever. Marriage and children were their ties. No one could separate them. Marriage and children were their ties. Yeah.